Okay, welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Matrix once again. I know it's been a while since we've done a show, but there are good reasons for that, and that on this platform that you're seeing it on YouTube, there are some issues. But anyway, we're working around that. And today's guest, I'm really excited to bring her back by popular demand. I got so many emails from all of you out there saying, we'd really like to have Ola back. We'd like to hear more from Ola. So Ola Wolny, welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you too. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back. And I'm so honored and pleased that people wanted to hear a little bit more from the other side, maybe from the inside, because Matrix and astrology go hand in hand. So here I am with another update, or a little bit of a dive into what we spoke last time about, and a little bit more. And of course, a little bit more craziness around us these days, right? So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we're definitely seeing some additional insanity in the world. I mean, it just seems to get progressively more insane, every week that passes by. And we just have to do the best we can and try and navigate through it all. But we're definitely seeing some crazy stuff, happening, and it seems to be ramping up. What do you think?
yes, I certainly you guys geographically have been hit recently, and the eyes are on you. I think in many ways, which in a context of the agenda as we know it is to be expected. Probably everybody is aware that one of the points is around the food supply and moving us onto full dependency on obviously what we are offered. So private ownership of any lands, private produce of food, whether that be animal or plants, that is, as per the plan, going to be not allowed. So of course that cannot be just ushered in. That's probably wouldn't be very popular. It needs to be done in sort of white gloves. So this is exactly what's happening right now. But obviously, to sort of take the attention from where you really should be looking, we have the UFO invasion in the media. So I think all around here in Europe, we already have had quite a few stories, and I would say people are pretty much in the awakened, let's say, population. It is very clear that it's just smoke and mirrors, and nothing to be trusted. I would say from the sort of context of astrology, preparation for blue beam. So we have to kind of massage it in a little bit. But I wouldn't really expect a full show until end of this year and the next year.
Yeah, and for those of you who may not have heard about what we're referencing here, and that's Project Bluebeam, which has been talked about for probably at least 25 years that I know of, maybe 30, 35, long time. Probably since 1990, people have been talking about Project Bluebeam, which is a holographic fake alien invasion projected on the screen of our skies. So that is, that is something that has been talked about. Werner von Braun also talked about that would be the last type of, fake scare event that the so-called elite would try and present to us to scare us into submission and cooperation with their plan. So anyway, in case you hadn't heard about that, that's what we're referencing here. And they've, you can see that they have tried and used the holographic projections in the sky many times. It was used in Iraq to scare the Iraqi army. Just many times they've done this. I'm sure a lot of you have seen videos of a city in the sky. There's been video of this. There's been pictures of people seeing, they look up in the sky and there's this huge city up in the sky. Well, these are little holographic projections, and they've learned how to do this. That's a proven technology. So don't be fooled by it, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and of course, unfortunately, the general population is still very susceptible to these tactics. Why even do a blue vein? Well, obviously, the plan part of the plan is heading for one world government, one world army. So what better circumstances than a common threat to the whole world, right? So
exactly.
Background. However, I really hope that this is just going to be just a show, and more and more people are seeing right past it, including the new variants of some virus. I don't know if you've heard about that one.
Yes.
That seems to be heading our way as well. They like that one that worked first time round, but remember it didn't really work the second time round when they tried to come up with the monkeypox. So I think they're just getting really desperate, and definitely the time is not on their side. So it's getting more and more ridiculous, which is in a way good, because obviously the more ridiculous it gets, the more exposed they get. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the good part of it. There are a lot more people seeing what's happening and paying less attention to mainstream controlled propaganda sources, which is a great thing. And okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. Last time you were on, we sort of touched on cosmology, your view of things that in that regard. A lot of us have come to the conclusion that we're not on a spinning ball hurtling through space at millions of miles an hour, which is, the mainstream narrative regarding that. So I'm going to, let's see if I can share the screen here. And Ola, take it away.
Thank you. Right. Well, I think that whether the context of the spinning ball or the flat Earth, that's sort of another story. We obviously have heard both sides of the story. Whether we could come up with a third one, that's another one. What I present to you here is a view based on the ancient text, based on indigenous cultures, presenting the cosmology across hundreds of years and thousands of years. So this is the result of legends, myths, mythologies from different geographies, which seems to be consistent. I'll show you in a minute how consistent they are. So from a context of astrology, why do I even bring astrology into it? I have been pretty much shunned from astrology community for going right against the astrology narrative, which pretty much talks about astrology being a powerful, amazing evolutionary tool to empower us. Well, here I am on the other side saying, well, actually, astrology is the only useful thing about it is that we have a chance to have a glimpse into the works of the Matrix. So I have been studying the ancient text. I do not do astrology based on some kind of, online courses. We're going from the other angle, and pretty much looking into, regardless of the geography, whether you are looking into the Indian mythology, the Babylonian, Mesopotamian, Sumerian, the Egyptian, Greek, Roman, etc. The story is very, very consistent. The text, the ancient text, whether that be the Gnostic text, the and Hermetic texts, Vedas, Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, pretty much everywhere we find the same consistent story of creation of this world, as well as the cosmology, the planets and the zodiac. Very, very clearly stated that zodiac is nothing positive. It's a tool of enslavement, and it is effectively a part of some kind of mechanism which involves very, very advanced technology. So we're talking very, very advanced AI-based technology above us. These days, we obviously know about the satellites, but back thousands and thousands of years ago, our technology was nowhere near understanding of this. However, the ones who built it above us obviously were highly, highly advanced. So for what I have established is that, obviously talking about the firmament, what is actually the firmament, right? Well, there seems to be some kind of construct above us, technological construct, which in its mechanism encompasses the constellations, the 12 constellations of the zodiac. Right now, I'm not going to go into the 13, the Ophiuchus and that context. However, certainly there are planets involved, sun and moon involved, and the constellation, and that mechanism is basically working in a sense that the more unaware you are, sort of on autopilot, the more determined in reality your life is going to be. So what we believe to be a free will is just an illusion of a free will. There is a mechanism above us. This is the mind control. Astrology is nothing else than a language to translate the mind control that's happening from above.
You know, I really appreciate your point of view, and I just want to point out to our listeners that Ola is an engineer. So she has a scientific mind, which bringing that aspect into this, I can see, you know, where you're going and how you've analyzed this. That's awesome. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to mention that.
No, I absolutely appreciate that. I've had my share of being an engineer. My background is in oil and gas, and deep matrix. Here I am now trying to sort of explain it from inside out. And here it is, the basis for, or part of the basis for my conclusions, which is the cosmology of various cultures across the world, across the history, whether that be the Inca. So as you can see, the Norse mythology, so we're from Europe through Americas, through the Middle East, pretty much the whole world. And the picture is very, very consistent. So we have some kind of mechanism, zodiac, we call it, above us. We have the planets, the gods, right, pulling the strings, which is really a workings of the mechanism using the planets. We have that described perfectly in the Hermetic text. We have that described very, very nicely in some of the Gnostic texts, in the Bible, as well in Vedas, very, very strongly. However, the message is very, very consistent. And it states that there is a mechanism above us which involves the planets, the movement of the planets. And depending on the movements of the planets, there is basically an effect exerted upon this plane, upon the Earth. The firmament seems to be literally, whether that is a step change between dimensions, or whether that is some kind of technology, which literally this is where this whole construct is held. Hard to know, right? Probably hard to conclude with our level of understanding at the moment. However, doesn't change the fact that we pretty much can understand the mechanics of it. So these all cultures have been trying to tell us the message, and I think that in many ways, where we focus on the firmament, perhaps we should focus on exactly what were they trying to tell us. It's not just the firmament, it's not just the physicality of it. It's the fact that we are in some kind of encapsulated environment, in some kind of closed-off space, where with use of very, very advanced technology, mind control, which is something that we experience on a daily basis. And of course, the ancients, it sounds rather negative, right? But the good news is that the ancients were also very clear on the mechanics of this of what I'm describing here. That the more conscious we become, the more aware we become. So let's call it awakened, if you like. We have a chance to escape, to some extent, the works of the zodiac.
I like that. Let me know when you're ready to move on to the next one here.
Yeah, we can just jump to the next one. You see, I wanted to show you the this picture because it's literally, this is what's above us based on the Pistis Sophia, the Gnostic text. Very, very useful in this context. Similar, perhaps not the exact physical description, but very, very good information in the Hermetic text. So, as you can see, there is a firmament above us, whether that be physical or some kind of technology. And then we go into spheres, into aeons, which encompass the zodiac. So that's where the constellations are. That's where the planets move around. And this is pretty much the mechanics. Literally, if I was to play the engineer again, this is what it seems to look like according to the ancients. So we have the planets operating within the aeons, where we have the constellations. Probably if some of you had a chance to read through Pistis Sophia, ascension of Jesus through the aeons, it messed up the mechanism a little bit. So I think it's described as in sort of 1/3 of the mechanism has been messed up in a way that the horoscope casters cannot do the work anymore. To me, it looks like he basically smoothed he changed the movement of the spheres from left to right, from right to left. To me, that seems, for those who might be a little bit more into astrology, I would say this is the retrograde movement of the planet versus direct. The sort of message there was that the horoscope casters were not going to be able to foretell the future half of the time or certain amount of time as a result of that. So obviously, this mechanism got a little bit messed up in the process. Great news for us to an extent. However, I would strongly advise from my end. I have been studying astrology for a very, very long time. I see it totally differently. I know that there are people who are sort of offering readings or perhaps offering some advice about buying stones connecting to the planets, buying some kind of or getting some kind of jewelry, which is specifically, you can't even get that. I even have the text that which specifically describes how you can make jewelry, stones, crystals, which are charged with the energy of the gods of the planet. I strongly recommend do not do that.
Okay.
I would suggest that we are aware of the context of what sort of cards we have been dealt. Perhaps that's worth also to explain how does the incarnation work. So it seems that pretty much within what you see here, within those spheres, the aeons, so still within that enclosed, encapsulated area, this is where the reincarnation cycle takes place, the Earth reincarnation cycle. So people, according to the Hermetic texts, those of us who are not aware how to leave this space are going to go onto the reincarnation cycle, and they're going to be tossed between heaven and earth indefinitely. This is what Hermes tells us. However, those that will be able to wake up in a way and find the way out, they will be able to avoid the mechanism. And so as a soul incarnates, whether that be from that reincarnation cycle or whether that be from the outside, because this area doesn't seem to be closed off for the newcomers. Quite a lot of people who are currently incarnated, the reason why you're awakened is because you're actually not the ones from this recycling trap. Quite a lot of souls are coming in from the outside. So this is probably not our first rodeo around here. We know our ways in and out. Not everybody obviously does. And as we incarnate, our signature gets read by the controllers of this matrix. We get sent in, and literally what you call the horoscope or your natal chart is the representation of the code that you are coming in with. Some of it represents your innate talents, just who you are on the sort of soul level, but some of it you just get from the matrix, from the controllers, to kind of give you a little bit of fireworks, to keep you occupied through life, traumas and all the good stuff, right? So to keep you busy, so that you
and distracted.
Exactly. You never get the chance to fully step into your power, wake up to who you are, and be a threat.
Now, would you say that some of us have had no problem seeing this for what it is, and for a long, long time, and it seems to me that maybe those of us who are able to see things differently from the sort of mainstream programming, we've probably been through this before. We've been recycled enough, or we've come into this knowing, what we know, and it just makes it easier for us to see it. Whereas a lot of people haven't had that experience and possibly get overwhelmed by the system that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And so the interesting thing is that you actually can see that in the chart. I call it the soul rank, or perhaps the age of the soul. You can see which souls have that kind of signature, which would suggest that perhaps you are an incomer. So you're coming in from the outside. You're coming in on the assignment. There's something for you to do here that's also very clear in the chart. So there are certain parameters, let's put it this way, which are, I call it, they come from the matrix, but some of them don't. Some of them are the signature of the soul. So I like to focus on those, and I like to kind of remind you, what are your superpowers? What is it that you come in here to do? And not to focus so much on the sort of stuff that we get from the matrix. Those will be the traumas. Those will be the kind of difficulties in life, etc. Of course, it's good to be wary of them, because we tend to have, and there's a lot of misconception around it. We tend to believe that perhaps we come here to learn some lessons and to evolve and grow. Some of it is, well, to some extent true, but some of it is sending you into the same experiences over and over again, where you absolutely don't have to go in there. So it's really, really important to kind of understand what tendencies you might have and what sort of cards you've been dealt by the matrix, so that do not take the bait, basically. Right. So this is this slide is pretty much to show you. Probably some of you might know I strongly advocate against the tropical zodiac, which is what people usually use. And this is that astrology for the masses, the tropical astrology, which deals with zodiac. Probably people don't know, from 2,000 years ago. So due to the precession of equinoxes, which is the fact that from our perspective, where we are here, the sky actually travels. So sort of the background moves. So the planets, over thousands and thousands of years, on the same date, happen to be in front of a different constellation. And as a result of that, there is a difference in the real position of the sun, the moon, the planets as they really are. If you go outside and look at the sky and what we're told by tropical astrology. Tropical astrology has been frozen, as I call it, 2,000 years ago at the Ptolemy time, where they came up with the sort of tropical zodiac, which is meant to be to do with the seasons, and gave all this convoluted explanation that doesn't really hold water to the engineers, at least. So the reality is the true original zodiac, the zodiac of the ancients, deals with the real position of the sky, meaning astrology equals astronomy, but not in tropical astrology. So I have been just showing there an example where, for example, any sign. Right now we have February. We're soon gonna allegedly move into the Pisces. Well, that's not the case. That's not the truth. So here I was using an example from last year, 14th of June, and probably some of you who are into astrology, the tropical position would have said that the sun is in Gemini. But as you can see, this is a screenshot from an astronomy-based software. And as you can see, the sun is still in Taurus.
Interesting.
So that is the true position versus what we are told. And the significance of it is that, as I've seen the last 3 years, specifically in the context of the events that we have been witnessing, well, the elites are following astrology very strongly, but they're following the real astrology. They're following the ancient, specifically Babylonian, because of course Babylon has never fell, just like the Roman Empire. They just changed names.
Yep.
And the gods stay the same. The job is still the same, right? It's just that we're dealing with slightly different geographies these days. However, they are using astrology very much. They are using astrology to get the flavor of what the masses are going to fall for. This is why we had the illusion of a pandemic, or not even a pandemic, but we know, at the time that we had it. That was very, very nicely in line with the astrology, specifically with cycles of Mars. I'm not going to give a boring astrology lesson here. However, the good news is that using astrology, which is their playground, as they say, millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires do. They use astrology, they forecast with astrology, they know what kind of flavor to sort of put in the air and what we are going to go for and what we're not going to go for. So you see, pretty much all the events that's been happening since 2020 very, very easily can be tied back to astrology. So the order in which it's happening, it's non-accidental. It is a plan. Why? Because the fact that the zodiac moves, the planet moves, it gives certain energy into the air. Let's put it this way. It sends certain energy in the ether. And as a result of that, people respond, right? Because it's mind control. They are sending signals, people are receiving. So the fact that so many people fell for such a big lie was literally the result of them using the right propaganda at the right time, fueled by the right energy.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious that they're operating on a different level than we are, and they know the truth of things. They know the history of things. They know so many things that we've been lied to and we've been deceived about. So we're at a great disadvantage here. Now, am I on the? Do we need to move to the next slide here?
Yeah, we can move. These are, yeah. So you see a little bit different view on astrology, what astrology means. We're told that astrology is the study of the stars. Astrology, astrologia from Latin, the study of the stars. But my question is here: astral. Is it just the stars, or is it also the astral, as in the astral realm? So I'm arguing that perhaps astrology is not just, or not specifically, study of the stars, but but it tries to smuggle a deeper meaning, which is around the astral realms versus our realms, as in the firmament being literally some kind of division between different frequencies, the different dimensions. So, as in we're not dealing with space per se, but we're dealing with different dimensions here.
Now, do you think that the dimensions, a lot of people have referenced dimensions in terms of frequency. So we exist in a certain frequency that our systems, our senses can pick up on. And so we can see things, we can hear things. But in other dimensions or other frequencies, they can exist in the same space, but we'll be totally unaware of them. So
right.
I think that plays into it, and also I think there at times there's some bleed through between different frequencies.
Exactly. And that's probably, you see, this is why I think there's been a lot of experiments done where supposedly you literally cannot leave the our space, right? And probably we cannot leave because we're trying to leave it in the wrong way. We're trying to leave it physically, where we should be looking to cross dimensions, right? This is what I'm talking about. And probably also this is why they are able to keep all this technology up there without us being able to see that. Although from time to time something is leaking, right? Just like you say, they also have some technical issues. So I would say very much we're dealing with something like that above us.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see what we have here.
Right. Well, we're a bit of a shifting gears again. We had something totally different. So I would say that probably quite surprising. Why are we jumping? Well, part of my work, I don't really consider the astrology as my main sort of key thing, or the most important thing that I would like to share, and that I have something to tell about. My background is including literally my background, where I come from, where I grew up. I've been exposed to some of the indigenous teachings also from where I'm from, back Eastern European lore of feminine wisdom, orally transferred from mothers, grandmothers, daughters, etc. And that has always fascinated me also in the context of the feminine line teachings, going obviously back through the hundreds of years, through the witch hunts, all the way back to the Mary Magdalena's, Inanna, Isis, the time of goddesses, the time before the patriarchy. Patriarchy has not been here for a very long time. However, it has been very successful being here. So most of those teachings have been wiped out, and the original teachings, the ego of those teachings, everything has been twisted pretty much 180 degrees. So the stories, the legends, the myths have been manipulated heavily. And they serve the patriarchal agenda. They don't sell the true story anymore. Why is it even relevant? Why is it important? Well, because as we find out from the from the teachings of the women of the past, they actually knew how to leave the matrix, and they knew how to operate outside of the matrix. So how relevant is that, right? So this is really my holy grail, if I may say that. The astrology, that context, the matrix context, well, we have to know that. We have to know what we're dealing with. However, as I have seen, as I have the teachings that have been exposed, there is no answer there. The answer lies outside. And why are we looking at these speakers? These are, actually, we have few of those. These are figures of Venus from the Paleolithic time. So pretty much a long time ago. Obviously, probably some of the narratives that we are told about the origins of our civilization, how many thousand years, all that is nonsense. These figures, some of them are 30, 40,000 years old. And the interesting thing is, as you can see, none of them has a head. Not an accident, not erosion, and not mechanical damage. In the feminine line teachings, in the feminine alchemy, women were very, very aware of the mind control, of the construct above us, and the message is very, very clear that if we would like to surpass and transcend, go beyond, and take this construct down, this is playground of the gods. So me as an engineer, I had to pull back from there, and I had to explore a bit of a different area. But jokes aside, you see, you probably have seen how much mind-based, logic-based, how much is that supported, and how much of that, whether that's in the movies, whether that's in computer games, right? Any kind of entertainment, very, very mind-based, very logic-based. Logic is very much rewarded in the current world, right? I mean, if you want to get a job, then you better be highly intelligent, and you better have good credentials, and you can prove something, you can defend your case, etc. Everything is very much based on what you can prove, what you can show, what you can measure. However, the feminine line, and really, I think we all can feel that our true nature has always been much more than just the head, right? Just the logic. There is intuition. There's the feeling, which is very, very consistently sort of pushed away to the background, and we're told that it doesn't matter. It cannot be proven. So forget about it. Don't rely on that unless you can prove it, right? Which is part of the agenda as well, because this is ultimately where our biggest power lies. We are beings, we are raised that originally relied the most on intuition, on the feelings, and these figures, they are obviously very strong on the fertility. They come from an era of matriarchy, or golden age, I would say, where these energies have not been distorted, and the head as a symbol, right, of that dominance has been removed, because there's no answers in the head.
That's fascinating. And one thing that comes to mind is that we are under such a handicap with our amnesia that we come in with. You know, we may have known many, many things before we came into this realm here. And now we're in the process of trying to remember a lot of those things. And that's where, to me, the divine feminine is really leading the charge here, and you know, helping us pull ourselves out of this quagmire that we're in, that we refer to as the matrix.
Right. I think that there's a lot of women. I've met a lot of magnificent, fabulous women who are starting to really feel that energy needs to lead the way. I think it's the way we're built. Women are built to feel, and are, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm an engineer myself. I had that background. I've done my bit. I've worked all sorts of managementy masculine jobs. So I'm not trying to sort of advocate against it per se. I'm just trying to explain that women have been pushed out of our own true power. Where our power lies is actually not in exhibiting masculine energy. It is in embodying the feminine, because when we do that, we are able to perform alchemy. And alchemy is what the gods are fearing the most, because our alchemy, the feminine alchemy, is something. This is why the witches were burned at the stake. This is why the women have been pushed to the sidelines and patriarchy took over. So they were trying to take over abilities which are natural for women. This is why they need technology. They cannot do that without it. But ultimately, everything is fake. And if women can remember those original abilities, the alchemy of the Holy Grail that we used to be able to perform, this matrix doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, and that's truly that's the whole key, I think, to what's going on here, is that we as human beings, as spirits incarnated into these meat suits, to put it crudely, we have to awaken. And that is, all of our, I think, everybody that presents this type of information, that's where we're coming from. That's where we want to awaken. We individually want to awaken. We want collectively for all of humanity to awaken, because once that happens, the game's over. Then we can create something that's wonderful in this world. We have a lot of the tools here. We have the basic ingredients of what it takes to do that. But because of our amnesia to start with, and because of the incredible technologies that have been used against us to control us in so many ways, we're not waking up, quite fast enough yet. But I'm very hopeful, and I think that we'll get there. But we need to look outside of, the mainstream, what's been presented to us, what's shown to us. We need to look within for our answers, because ultimately we have those answers within us if we're willing to, put the work in, take the time to really look. And I'm talking about meditation and introspection.
Absolutely. And I wanted to use these figures not by accident. I think that we have to investigate what awakening really means, because I think that we use that word a lot, and we many of us consider ourselves awakened because we are aware of certain events, of certain contexts, certain agendas. However, I would say that as long as we stay within the mind space and we try to continue to chase and research and be one step ahead of the game, but again staying in that logic-based, analysis-based space, I don't think we're really that much closer to where we need to be. Because I think that the key that I'm trying to bring the focus to is that our essence is elsewhere. The mind, anything that happens in the mind, the logic, the thinking, the processing of the information, that is still the playground of the gods. This is where the mind control works, right? So giving us things to chase, whether the earth is flat or is it round, whether the next reset is going to happen, the truth seeking. You see, there's all this notion of people very, very still very much based in the mind. But where's the feeling function? Because we're talking about spirituality, but that spirituality in the West is very intellectual. When you look at the indigenous people or the ethnic groups, or even back in the days, right? The spirituality was more around living close to the nature, really following certain cycles and not really going to workshops, right? Not really sort of chasing the news and chasing agendas. I think that we might be we should be very careful not to be still drawn into their game, because they need us to still play out the scenarios for them. So I think that as long as we stay within that mind and we think we're awakened because we're informed, I think there's still a little bit to go.
Yeah, I think there's varying degrees of that there, and it's a process that we have to go through. Uh, and one of the steps in the process is to become aware of the manipulation and the control.
Right.
And once you become aware of it and stop cooperating with it, that's when we begin to pull ourselves out of, the system, the control system. It's interesting to me, and I can't, it's really difficult to fathom what is the rationale or what is the objective, what's the inspiration of the dark side to do what they do. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems so bizarre.
Well, I think that the inspiration is literally to survive, to continue to operate, because in the cosmic context, because of course we can ask the question, and it's absolutely a valid question. Why now? Why is this happening now? Why is this craziness taking place now? Why not 100 years ago or in another 200 years, right? Why now? Well, if you look at it, and of course we can talk about it's the money, it's this, it's that. No, it's not. It's not about money. It's not even about power. They already have the power. They already control everybody and everything. They can obviously take it to the next level. However, they already have that. That's already in their hands. But if you look at the cosmic context, this is where the problem starts for them. Because, and I mentioned that in the last program, I think, that we happen to find ourselves right now in the cosmic context in a really, really special time. It is a time where three major cosmic events happen to align together. And by that, I mean we have the end of Kali Yuga, which is the darkest of the dark times, which is already, we're kind of going out of the Kali Yuga since the early 2000s, which probably you might know that from the Vedic side, but the Mayan calendar as well, 2012, pointing to 2012. So there's a very strong correspondence here, pointing at end of the world, beginning of something new. The second cycle, Age of Aquarius. Okay, Age of Aquarius. It's not some kind of notion. Age of Aquarius is very much a cosmic event to do with, again, precession of equinoxes. So the position of the sun at the vernal equinox, what constellation is behind it. And fair enough, okay, if I want to be very technical, we're still not precisely in the Aquarius. However, we're feeling the energies already coming in. From Aquarius, we few sort of steps, few degrees away. So we're standing at the gateway into Aquarius. However, of course, these things don't happen overnight. So the energy doesn't just switch like this. It's a process. And the third event being probably maybe one of the biggest ones. At the winter solstice, we have a perfect alignment of our beautiful sun portal with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy, that's where the life comes from, right? This is the cosmic, the black hole, the cosmic womb, where the original energy, the original creation, the codes of creation, that's where they are coming from. And everything is heading our way. So those three things aligning, it's basically big trouble for them, because they cannot control that energy. They cannot stop it. They cannot manipulate it. The only thing that they can do is they can try to make sure that from our perspective, we are unable to receive this energy, which is what they have been doing, messing with the DNA, keeping us busy with the last 3 years of nonsense, trying to control us, but specifically they've been messing with our DNA, with our hormones. Why? Because if our DNA is messed up, we cannot really accept or receive this energy. It's our DNA is unable to process that energy to upgrade us, to have that effect. This is where the feminine alchemy comes in very, very strongly. There are certain things here that specifically women, due to the fact that we happen to be the birthing ones, the ones who can birth children, can birth much more than that, can birth energy into this reality. This is what they are so afraid of. And this is why they are so busy to make sure that women stay put, stay in their lane, stay either in the masculine or in the victim mode, because when you are busy sort of in your own traumas or out of that alignment where alchemy can happen, well, then there is nobody to be a threat. So this is ultimately why they're going crazy, and why they have been going crazy right now. It happens to be a bad timing for them. So of course they cannot stop it. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop us from receiving the benefit of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I have to throw this monkey wrench into everything, because some people say, it just really doesn't matter what we do, what we say. We're just here for the ride. We're here for the experience. We're just here to have fun. We're like adventurers that come out, from some other world where we actually are, and come into this construct, this realm, just for, just like a vacation or a trip or a fun thing to do. And, I think in some regards there may be some relevance to that thought, is that why do we come here? Those of us who maybe weren't trapped here, or why did the ones come here that are trapped, and are we all trapped? And then there's the question of, are we going to be able to get out of here? And how do we get out of here? And all that kind of stuff. So there's so many unanswered things that we wonder about. Some people claim to have the answers, and that's good for them, I guess. But it's really something I don't know if we'll ever truly, fully understand, because if we did, we would probably just bounce out of here.
Well, you see, this is where I would go back again to those headless figures, because the feminine line has had the answers. The feminine line has the answers, and they are there. They've been slightly sort of twisted and covered, because of course due to patriarchy, those things couldn't just continue to be out in the open. However, the answers are actually there, and we know how to get out of here. The feminine line teaches about that, teaches how to die to avoid the reincarnation cycle. Mary Magdalena teachings, if you do not resurrect by life after death, forget it. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you are not aware, if you don't know what to do after you die, while you're still alive, then when you die, you don't get enlightened immediately and you know what to do. Then you're gonna go onto the reincarnation cycle. But that wisdom is present, and it has been present. This is why it's been suppressed, because it's very dangerous and inconvenient. However, it is very much present, and it has been also present in most of the indigenous for the indigenous people. In the legends, not just in the legends, but we have to switch off the mind to understand what we're dealing with and where is that wisdom? What is the message? This is the problem. If you try to cover it with the mind, it's not gonna work. Then you're reading without understanding, right? So this is the trick. As for people coming in here, I would say that some people perhaps are just, for the right, if that's what they think they are. But definitely there's a lot of people here that I don't think they would be here if they didn't have an idea what to do these days. So I think that this is the time, specifically in the context that I'm aware of, that the cosmic context, it is quite an event. And of course, either this place can continue to be or get even more enslaved, or this is the time, this is that opportunity to free this place and change the future. And I really, really mean that.
Well, let's talk about what are those things that we need to know. So before we, bounce out of here, what are the things that we need to know so that we are not, locked in here again and again and over and over?
Right. Well, first of all, and the ancient texts, they talk about it. If you look at the cosmology, even of the, especially the Norse cosmology or the Norse mythology, the tree of life, whether that be in the Kabbalah, whether that be in various other systems, it keeps popping up. It keeps coming up. There is something there with the tree of life. There's something there, and the tree, obviously, the multiple of the tree. We had in the Bible as well with the serpent and the tree. So you see, in the Norse mythology, we have the sort of upper worlds and the lower worlds, which is pictured along the axis of the tree. We have been also conditioned to believe that anything down is bad, such as it got in a very bad marketing, being called hell. Right? So we are programmed by religions to go to heaven, right? I mean, I think that's the most common story. Go to heaven, meaning go up, ascend, go up. That's what heaven is. But actually, this is what the reincarnation machine is. So this is the trick. So back in the days, hundreds and maybe thousands years ago, when people were dying, we used to have death doulas. And these would be the women, the shamans, who would assist the soul to take them out of here. But you see, this is, again, how do you take them out of here? Where do you go? And we already have those answers. And these answers are even hidden in the story of Jesus, in the story of death of Jesus, or in the story, for those who are into astrology, movement of Venus. When Venus disappears and becomes invisible, descent into the underworld, Inanna's descent into the underworld, or story of Jesus. After Jesus dies on the cross, he gets taken where? He gets taken to the grave, to the tomb, to the cave, and he spent some time there first. And even in the Polish versions of the prayers, I don't know exactly about the English versions, but in the Polish version of the prayers, it says that after he dies, he goes first to hell, and after that he goes to heaven. Why does he go to hell? Why does he go to hell first? You see, the cave that he's taken to, or the tomb, or the grave, that's just symbolic. This is it's not
literal.
It's not literal. Exactly. It's not the meaning that we are looking for. He's taken to the womb of the earth. Caves, in the feminine alchemy, in the teachings of the women of the past, the witches, the Mary Magdalena, Inanna, caves have always been linked to the stories of the feminine, and caves are symbolic of the womb of the earth. So he's taken first into the womb of the earth. He tells you exactly where to go. So does Venus, as she descends to the underworld. So does Inanna in the descent to the underworld. Inanna's descent to the underworld, the story that everybody can read. By the way, of course, the story is already twisted, and Enki seems to be the savior, which is absolute nonsense. So the original version of the story, Enki wouldn't even get in there. So that's and that's how to look at it. But the way out is down the tree of life, not up.
Okay, that's definitely something to think about.
As esoteric as it sounds, you see, we got a lot of stories and bad marketing to scare us away from there. That's why anything down, that's where hell is. This is where, the eternal fire is. Don't go there. Don't even be interested down there. Well, in the feminine traditions, this is a journey that every woman should take during, as she's alive. For many reasons. Underworld has always been, probably those of you that are aware of the Celtic traditions or Celtic legends, the well maidens and the springs, the wells, they've always been exactly the portals or the points of connection between this world and that world. And that's where.
Yeah. When you travel down the tree of life, are we talking about a frequency change? What exactly are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking after death. So when you die, right? And of course, you're gonna be lured back onto the reincarnation cycle. That's where you're gonna see the light. You're gonna probably be shown either some family, friends, or of course, some people say
sure. Deity.
Deity, gods, etc. They lure you up to the light, right? And the light most likely is the moon light, because moon is actually very much linked to the reincarnation machine. So probably the light that you see is the moonlight, and literally going up to that area where that process takes place. So do not go there, basically. Do not go there. What does it mean, go within, right? Jesus teaches us that go within. Go within, because within us is the portal to go down. To go down into the down the tree of light. This is obviously energetic. This is not sort of physical. And after we die, the soul obviously travels in different dimensions. So the point is to go down. This is how the shamans would have been taking you out of here thousands and hundreds years ago as well. And down when you get to the bottom of the tree of life, and of course we always have the birth hole, right? We have the holes in the tree. These will be the portals. So you want to get down there, find yourself a portal. You're probably going to travel through some waters. There's always water involved. Get through the portal and get out of here. And then when you get out of here, you get your free will back. So you can decide what you want to do with yourself, whether go and reincarnate somewhere else, whether you want to go and perhaps go back to the original creation, the womb of creation, or however we want to call it, the source. The source is very, very popular these days. However, you have free will.
Okay. Now, before we go, I want to have you speak a little bit about the event you have coming up.
Right. The event. So I have decided to organize a feminine alchemy getaway, Arctic getaway. I live in a very, very interesting place in the Arctic, in Norway, north of the Arctic Circle. So it's a very, very special place. Perhaps one day I could maybe mention some of the Hyperborea legends which we have locally here. Most likely Hyperborea was extending to the region where I specifically live. Lots of legends, very supernatural phenomena around here. Very, very important region. For many, many reasons, I would argue that this is probably one of the most important places on Earth. And I have decided to organize an opportunity for some of the ladies who would be interested in the feminine alchemy teachings, but not just teachings, but actually practical, sort of taking it to the next step. So women needs to start practicing that. Women needs to, we cannot be only talking about it. We cannot be only having conversations and consultations. We need to start doing. So this is the opportunity for ladies who are ready to take it to the next level, next step, to come and experience that here in this beautiful land.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So how can people find you if they want to send you an email or interact with you and talk with you? Or
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, www.selfmasteryquest.com. You can find me on Facebook. However, on Facebook, I am not exactly using my name. I use another name. So perhaps you can look for Self Mastery Quest on Facebook as well. And that way you can also get to me. Yeah, just send me an email, write me a message. I love to connect to people who are open to these things. I'm very, very happy always to connect to women who are right now really, really feeling that something is bubbling up. They sometimes don't really know what to do with it, where to go. A lot of new age deception in that area, a lot of sort of goddess and divine feminine blood, which is quite frankly a big detour from the kind of things that I am talking about. And so yeah, if you feel that this might feel more right, then I would definitely love to connect.
okay, wonderful. Ola, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And to all of you out there, we'll see you inside the Matrix. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.